Hey, welcome to the What the Wealthy Do podcast, where we break down the tips, tricks, tactics, strategies that the ultra wealthy use to build their wealth and apply those strategies to busy, brilliant Black women like yourselves, and myself too, as we are working to build our wealth, some of us from the ground up. So, hi everybody, I'm Stephanie Dorsey. I am your host, and today we're going to get real about something that isn't discussed enough, which is Black women and money. And so we're going to talk about not just the struggle, the hustle, whatever, but really what's truly important, which is the power. We do have a lot of power and it's not discussed. So that's what we're doing today. Real talk, Black women are economic powerhouses. So we all know the statistic about us being one of the highest educated cohorts in America. But did you know that 16% of college educated Black folks earn $100,000 a year? Now, okay. $100,000 in 2025 is not the same as it was in 1992. However, like my mama say, it ain't no chicken feed, right? And so you could do a little bit. You could not a little bit. You could do a lot with 100 grand. And so that's one statistic that I think is important for us to note. Also, in 2023, there was a Pew Research report that said that 56% of Black women in heterosexual marriages actively manage or actively participate in the management of the finances of the home. And obviously we know if you're a single woman, then you, like 9 times out of 10, you're going to be managing the finances in your home. I don't have data if you are in a same-sex marriage. But again, you know, women are going to be, if I'm thinking about a lesbian marriage, women are going to be managing the finances of their home. So yeah, there's a lot of power. Here's another thing. The Selig Center of Economic Growth, which is from the University of Georgia, stated that Black folks control $1.6 trillion of buying power every year. And this number is going up steadily. And I'm sure many of you have heard that statistic before, but let me put it into context. If you think about that value of $1.6 trillion, if we were our own country, we would be the 15th largest country in the world, right? That buying power is bigger than Spain's gross domestic product, which is the value of all of their products and resources that are offered. So $1.6 trillion, again, to use my mother's very country reference, is not chicken feed. They want us to think. They don't want us to know how much power we have. And I'm talking about the powers that be, right? Anyone who thinks that it's important for Black people to not understand their power, that's the they who we're talking about. So very crudely, if you look at the fact that Black women manage 52% of all the resources held in the Black community, and our buying power is $1.6 trillion, that means Black women every year direct how $900 billion is going to be spent in the U.S., frankly in the world. But let's just say in the U.S., they direct about $900 billion. And also, the icing on the cake is that Black women are the fastest growing of entrepreneurs in the U.S. And I know sometimes there's a narrative that, well, those are just side hustles and all those businesses don't, make a lot of money. But that's 2.7 million businesses. And from 2019 to 2023, that was, they generated $98 billion in revenue and across that 4-year span. So the point is, don't fall for the okie doke. Michelle Obama, when I went to see her when she was on her book tour for when she wrote her autobiographical memoir, Becoming, she literally was like, they are scamming you. They want you to think that you're not as brilliant or brilliant enough or talented enough to be in a room. And that's just not true. And the data shows it. And the crazy thing is, you know how we are. We don't let people all up in our business. So I will venture to guess that data, the numbers are probably better. because we don't like telling you all that we got. But listen, now, here's the paradox. I mean, it's real. Here's the paradox. While we manage the money, we manage the businesses, we manage our families, we manage our communities, we're still under-resourced, overworked, underpaid, and often left out of the wealth-generating conversations. And so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on the doom and gloom, but it would be, I think, neglectful of me not to call out some of the obstacles that we do face, which is, one, we are underpaid. And we know that. We make about 68, 69 cents for every dollar that our white male counterpart makes. We also have started behind, right? A lot of us, if we went to college, we took out student loans to get there. We had to basically take care of ourselves and fund ourselves through that process. We're also, a lot of us have more obligations than our white female or male counterparts in that we have to take care of our families. We have to take care of our parents. There's just a lot that comes along with that. And, real talk, our parents, a lot of them were still learning, and we just weren't really talking about wealth building and financial management. And so a lot of us are learning this on the fly. And that did, yesterday that put us behind, but today we we know better, we're working harder, we're doing more, we're listening to this podcast, and we're educating ourselves so that we can better manage the funds that we actually have and set our children up for success. Another thing that's worth mentioning here is the wage gap. Unfortunately, if you look at the wage gap over the last decade, but certainly basically forever, but the wealth gap for our white counterparts is growing faster than our wealth is. So for instance, in the last decade, while our wealth, oh my gosh, I keep saying wealth gap, sorry. While our net worth doubled, the net worth of our white counterparts tripled in that same time frame. For every $100 of wealth that white people own, we own about $15. Again, this is not to say that, we should just pack up our bag and go home and why even try? No, this is to say you can't fix what you don't face. And we need to know where we are so that we can know if we are when we're winning, right? So all that to say, this is why we started this podcast. I wanted you all to recognize that, to learn about how the wealthy play offense and defense, and they think about the long term, and that's exactly what we're going to do too. Like yesterday's news of where we started, that's yesterday's news. Today, we are in this wonderful information age where there's no longer an advantage over folks knowing more than others. We have access. Our parents couldn't buy stocks, or they could, but it would have been really, really cumbersome for them to go to a retail store and, it's not a corner store, but they would have to go to a broker. They would have to find a broker, go to a broker. They would have to do their research for which stocks to buy by reading the newspapers and creating their own graphs of this stock seems to be going up or not, or going down. It was a very manual process. And we don't have to deal with that today. We have access to all of this information, including this podcast. And so yesterday's excuse is not today's excuse. And so like Maya Angelou said, when you know better, you do better. And that's what we're going to do. And so we're going to focus on 4 things. 1, we are not going to let all this craziness that's happening in the world interfere with our goal of building and growing our wealth. It is a distraction. Please know that all of those billionaires, including the one that is the sitting president of the United States, are going to make money. They are not going to go broke. They're not going to lose their wealth. You see, Elon Musk went home. He packed up his bag and went home because he was like, oh, y'all messing with my money. I don't need to be here. So trust and believe that if we go to war, or if, I don't know, whatever catastrophe that he has or crisis that he is brewing, money and the ability to make money will not be interrupted. The second thing, we are going to build and protect our assets just like the wealthy do. It's important to build them, but it's also we have to protect it. Then thirdly, we're going to use the legal systems and entities that are created to protect our wealth. We're going to use it smart though. We're not going to go out here and building this super complex system that is not necessary for where we are today. We're going to build it strategically as we need it as we go. And lastly, we're going to think long term. I know I think people think, oh, 62, that's retirement age. Boom, I just got to make it to that. No, sis, we live into our 80s. Like, I'm 47, but in my mind, I still got an easy 30 more years of hardcore investing, right? So I know some folks would be like, well, if you didn't start at 18, fooey for you. But no. We are drinking our water. We are minding our business. We are managing our stress, and we are managing our money. And we are going to live until we're well in our 80s. And so we need to have fun to take care of us while we're in our 80s, because there ain't nobody trying to be no greeter at Walmart at 77. We ain't doing that. Okay. All right, so here's something for you to consider, because I do want you to recognize that you should be reflecting on things. And all of us have a money story. And it doesn't all have to be so drastic. Like, I grew up in a place where outside of my house was traumatic and crazy and dangerous and all of that foolishness. But inside of my house, I was pretty safe. I was fortunate. My dad taught me how to save money. He taught me how to pay my bills. He did not teach me how to invest money, but he gave me a decent foundation to start. So that's my story, right? It was enough to start. It was not enough to be where I'm trying to go. Some of you might have a little bit more of a traumatic story, and that's fine too. But it's important for you to understand what your story is and understand how it's impacting you today, how it's impacting the decisions you make today, and how it's impacting your relationship with money today, how it's impacting how you view your worth from a financial perspective today. So I want you to spend some time to think about, what were you taught about money growing up? What did you see growing up in your house or family that was impactful? And also, what part of the story, if it's a part or all of it, do you want to rewrite? Because you get to do that. We ain't got to live in the way we used to live. We big now, like we grown now. So we don't have to do, we got McDonald's money, you know what I mean? So you get to rewrite your story. I want you to spend some time thinking about that. And don't forget, you don't have to do this alone. I will say this probably every episode, but I'm definitely going to say it often. We are raised to be, Black people especially, we're told, like, don't tell your business. You got to keep your stuff close to your chest and all of that. And the problem with that is, the saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with a community or a group. And that's the truth, right? We can't do it alone. You could try, but all the information I got from talking to people. And even still, I learn stuff every day. In every conversation I have, I learn something new. And so I want you to normalize talking very candidly about your finances with somebody. Find a friend. Everybody ain't worthy. I know that. Everybody ain't worthy, but there is one or two people that's in your circle, family or friends, that you could talk to and share your finances with, your financial journey. I had the wonderful, there's some women that basically pulled my coat that I wouldn't have known, right? Like, for instance, I had a friend. I was applying for a job with JP Morgan Chase, and I told her I wanted to make, I'm pretty sure I said 150 or something like that, $150,000 a year. And she was just like, absolutely, that's too low, right? And I wouldn't have known that until I started to do, and I'm like, oh, that is too low. I started to do some research. Also, I had some friends that we all worked together at Capital One, and we decided to just hop on a call and just have a very transparent salary conversation. And it was very awkward and uncomfortable, but I forced myself to do it. And all of these women shared how much they made and who was making the least and who had been there the longest. I was, and for everybody who listening, I was, right? I raised my hand. And so it's really, really, really important for you to start having these conversations with people, because it's just virtually impossible for you to know all the information by yourself. So that's enough for my soapbox. Thanks again for joining What the Wealthy Do. If today's episode spoke to you, please share it with a friend. You can follow us, like and subscribe on YouTube, or all the places where you can get your podcasts, as well as follow us on TikTok and Instagram. And remember, like, we don't need more hustle. We need more ownership. We need more strategy. And we need belief in what's possible, because I'm telling you, it is possible. See y'all next week. Bye.